FGC Job Squad, your premier Tekken podcast.
FGC Job Squad episode 5. My name is Kinesthetic, and I'm here with my co-host Pickle, aka Ian.
Cool.
And today we have a very special guest. His name's MYK. He's a competitive Tekken player, commentator, and a pillar of the Tekken community, and really appreciative that he agreed to come on. So what's up, MYK? How are you doing, man?
Hey, no problem, man. Glad to be on, and always down to talk about Tekken. So
that's good, dude. We have a lot to talk about today. So basically something we like to do here, I guess, just when we get started is talk about origin stories and things like that. So I guess myself, I started with Tekken 7. I got really hardcore in Tekken 7, but I don't know about a lot about the Tekken scene, before Tag 2 or before like the documented YouTube age kind of thing. So we like to ask, how'd you get started with video games? How'd you get started? Let's just start with the very beginning. How'd you get introduced to this crazy Tekken world? And I guess we'll work our way past that.
The FGC origin story.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, everybody's got them. But I was a high school skateboarding kid, and then my group of friends at the time, we just all saw the Daigo Perry video for Third Strike. And we were just like, fuck, we just want to... Wait, we could cuss on the show, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're not on ESPN yet, dude. Don't worry.
All right, cool. Because we just saw the Daigo Third Strike Parry video, and we are like, damn, that is tight. So we all tried to do that shit at home. And then we were like, none of us could get it, but we were all getting into Third Strike anyway. So we went to the arcade, and it was a Super Arcade that we went to. And they had a Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection machine there. And I didn't even know that was a popular arcade for like a Tekken scene. Like it was the Tekken arcade at the time. And then I just happened to show up there one night with my high school friends. And then there was like a group of Tekken players there. And that's kind of how I got into Tekken.
That's why everyone that plays Tekken from that era, they always mention T5. That's like the one, right? The one that everyone like falls in love with, right? From the arcade Tekkens.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the history of Tekken releases, right, the major titles, it was Tekken 3, which was like a pretty big hit. I didn't know about Tekken 3, but like I played it on console and stuff, right? That was one of the few games I had on PlayStation 1. And then it was Tag 1. Tag 1 was hugely popular, successful. It was basically Tekken 3 on crack, right?
Yeah.
And then it's Tekken 4. And then that was the oddball, it was
that's the one where they changed everything up, right? They wanted to test out like movement before rounds,
pillars and ceiling bounces and all this weird shit.
Yeah, they had Marvel movement. You can move before the round.
Yeah.
The backdash system was gone. Everything you liked and loved about Tekken was kind of changed in a way. One throws were gone to replace them with like wall pushes.
Oh, that's right. That's a Steve wall push, right? It came from those T4.
Yeah.
Oh,
T4.
okay.
He's the only one that still has that wall push now out of sway.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same idea. Yeah, pretty much the same idea. And everybody only had like a 2 throw and a 1+2 throw. So in a way, it's kind of like Tekken 7 right now with the throw system. If you kind of think about it, there's
so it was just as easy to break throws back then, I guess. Like you don't have to worry about too many options.
Yeah, there wasn't too many options, but there was still, assholes with command throws like Jin with like complicated wires. It's those are true 1 throw breaks and stuff like that.
Right.
Hwoarang has them too. But yeah, Tekken 4 was the weird one. They had ceiling,
Dude,
slope
I've
floor.
seen staircases and shit in that game, right? Like you can walk
Yeah.
up staircases.
Dude, if you guys go, you guys should honestly go back. Like that's what happened to me. I'm a Tekken 5 DR baby. You guys are like Tag 2 or T7 babies, right? Nowadays.
Yeah, 'cause I
But
had P5 on the PSP, but I was a kid, you know. I didn't know what I was doing. I was
right,
just throwing
exactly.
hits and stuff. I didn't really know how to play the game, but yeah, I'm more of like a tag 2 player.
Yeah, that's how we
Yeah.
all started, man. Like that was me too. Like Tekken, I think 2, I had like a demo disc with only Lei and Michelle playable.
Ooh,
I think that was my first Tekken, technically.
is that
Yeah.
like those Pizza Hut demos?
Yeah, I think it was a Pizza Hut demo, dude.
Dude, I
That's
do
awesome.
remember.
I mean, I was a arcade kid, you know. I was just like a 90s, early 2000 arcade kid anyway. So I remember like I grew up in Hawaii from when I was 3 to 13. So
Oh, that's
those
crazy. I just moved to Hawaii like
what?
a month ago. Yeah, it sucks, but
Oahu?
it's all right. Yeah, Oahu, Honolulu. It's not bad, but I miss San Diego, but
No, I feel you. It's paradise, but it gets boring in paradise. That's what it feels like a
yeah.
lot. It's
Yeah.
nice though. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool. But yeah, I grew up in Hawaii, and then I remember there was like a bowling alley that had Marvel 1, and then the console version wasn't the same. I was like, what the fuck? You can't pick 2 characters? What is this? This isn't the same game. Yeah, it's like they had to save resources because you couldn't have like 4 characters on the game in one match at the same time. So it's just like you get to pick a character and an assist. That was it, or some shit.
Yeah.
It was weird. But yeah, I definitely played those like X-Men versus Street Fighter. I played a lot of the versus games, I guess. And
Are you into like KI? Like the
no, I never really played too much KI, like the arcades that I went to when I was a kid. Definitely didn't have like KI
Yeah.
stuff.
I think that's one of
So-
the games that really got me hooked into like playing fighting games as a kid. It was just Killer Instinct, like the combo system and the way they yell. You know, when you do like a
What
7-hit.
console was that on? Wasn't it on
Super
64?
Nintendo and 64 was I think the second
It was like
release.
gold or some shit, right?
Yeah, so I think it first came out on arcade, and then they released it on Super Nintendo, and then the next one they released it on, I'm sure arcade too, but they had a 64 version of it.
Yeah, I think my friends had the 64 version. I think I played it like maybe once or twice, but not too much. Like, you know, you would see like the old school arcade games. Like, dude, I've played a bunch, man. Like Primal Rage in the arcades. Like,
That's
dude.
the dinosaur one.
Yeah, the dinosaur, dude. Those were the days, man.
Primal Rage.
So I guess after Hawaii, your first arcade in mainland was Super Arcade, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. No, I mean, I guess I went to AI and stuff too. There was Arcade Infinity. It was mostly like a music game place, and it had a bunch of 2D games. It didn't even have Tekken at all, any 3D games. So it was only for Street Fighter, and they had tournaments there for Street Fighter 4 when that finally came out. And then it had like Guilty Gear. I forget which version. Yeah, and it had Third Strike there as well. Yeah, that was
Cool.
like a 2D arcade, 2D music arcade, basically.
Cool. So you got into Tekken 5. What was the scene like in SoCal at this time?
This time was like crazy times. I felt like it was because it was all offline, right? So it was all arcade. Your timing's gonna be perfect. The coolest part about T5 was they had American cabinets with arcade ports on it, so you could use your own PS2 controller. So you could bring your own Korean stick, your own pad. You could play arcade games on your PS2 pad. You know,
Is that not a thing anymore, or was
Yeah,
that gone after that, after T5?
Yeah, pretty much. Unless because it was only for the American release for the arcade cabinet. But the crazy part was Super Arcade didn't even have that official cabinet. The dude installed the port thing himself. Like the original Super Arcade owner, the Chinese dude. It was on those actual old school like Astro City cabs, you know, like those white ones. Those sit down Japanese cabinets.
So he just made that shit himself, like those man cave like
Yeah.
setup. He just build their own arcade.
Dude, he literally drilled out like a little side on the left of the cabinet just for the port to be there, and then you could just plug your controller in like that.
That's amazing.
Dedication, dude.
Yeah, that's what it was. And then the scene was huge, man. Honestly, it felt bigger than it is now.
Really?
Like, even though it's like Wednesday night fights, we were getting offline, like maybe, dude, we were getting a lot, right? Like 60, 70. Like that's a
For Tekken 7 or who?
yeah.
For okay.
Tekken 7 at the end, right? But it wasn't always like that, right? Because at the
Right.
beginning of Tekken 7, I think the first off season we had, I think we had the lowest entrance ever. And then the
Oh, that's
lowest,
crazy.
it was like 12 or 14. We didn't even break 15 that night.
Okay, down in San Diego, I think like we did like 30 plus people in a row for like a few weeks straight when T7 came out. It's
Damn, we have
Yeah.
insane.
Dude, it was crazy, man. Like 14 or 12.
Wow.
Oh, what
that was
happened? Was that
rough.
like season 1 or something?
That was released. Yeah, that was like we first season official season ended, and then we had I think it was like second week because the Wednesday night fights keep going, right? Like you can still
Yeah.
show up into a tournament even though you're not going to get points for like a prize at the end of the season or whatnot. But yeah, like second
So
week.
T5 was way more. T5 was just way more at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Like right now at the end of T7, right before the pandemic hit, Tekken 7 got huge offline, right? We were
Yeah,
getting
kinda
50
consistent.
plus, 60 plus
Yeah.
at Wednesday night fights for an offline weekly. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's growing online too. It's pretty crazy. Like Tekken 7 is doing really well, but I guess yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's great. But the scene offline in T5 felt just as big or maybe even bigger because you had like all of SET, you had Nathan Monster, Mark Man, Alex Man, dude, everybody was playing. Everybody was playing.
how good do you
the
think
Ren-
people were back then? Like in your honest opinion?
they were pretty good for the time being, and also, dude, it was also because like we had Aurario, right, and he was a good gauge to like see how because I got to tell you guys the lore in Tekken 6, right? Aurario wasn't even playing like that. He stopped playing after T5, you know.
Yeah.
So after he won Evo, he kind of just focused on school and took care of life stuff, right? And
All right.
then
So for the viewers who are not as like me, not as well versed, who's Aurario? Can you describe who they are?
oh man, Aurario is one of the OG American Jacks. There is a famous picture, and Aurario used to come from ATL as well. So if you guys know what that means,
Damn, that's an ATL character then?
yeah. And there is like a historic picture. I haven't seen it in a couple years now, but there's a picture of like baby Anakin and Aurario both playing on a cabinet together. And they're
Damn.
Boy, dude.
dude,
Ultimate lore picture.
it's actually wild, right? So it's like Anakin, Aurario are like the two main Jack players in America. I think there was a couple others too that I might be forgetting about. Uh, I think maybe like JOP as well. But yeah, those were like the OG Jack mains of America, right? They pretty much just created the Jack style, the standing twos, the
Yeah.
down back ones, the down forward twos at that crazy timing, at that range with like that immaculate backdash. Though that is the Jack style, you know.
So is that how Anakin, is that where he got like his inspiration from? Was it from
I
Aurario?
don't know who started who, right? Like I don't know if Anakin started off with Jack, but because Anakin was a baby at the time, he was like a
Right.
little youngster. Like
We gotta find that picture, man.
if you guys can find that picture, dude, it's out there somewhere for sure.
Yeah.
We'll find it.
Yeah, but Aurario, he was the strongest player in SoCal at the time. He won Evo 2007, and that's when he stopped playing after that. It was pretty much and then before that too, he was like a big time shit talker too, right? But then he was the type of dude where he could back it up. So that's why it was like, oh shit, if he's talking shit, he's probably gonna
You don't
win.
want to talk shit back, right? And
Yeah.
you know you're gonna get fucked up by him.
But then you're also like, the pride, the region battle, like it was hype, dude. It's crazy because that Evo, Aurario and Spirulgin had a legendary money match. A first to 10.
What Evo is this?
This is 2007, I believe.
Okay.
Because 2006 is when I first started, And then I went there because my parents just happened to be in Vegas. And then I knew that Evo was happening in like a hotel or two nearby. So I just happened to go over, check out Evo. And then I ran into like Rip and Ricksta, right? And then they were like, aren't you that kid from Super Arcade? And I'm like, yeah. and it all started from there. And then like I didn't enter that year. I just went to go see, you know. And then 2007 is my first year I entered. And then it was wild, man. It was wild because there was such a rivalry. West Coast versus East Coast, NorCal versus SoCal was like a real thing, and it's all because of like how strong Arario was, and
Yeah.
Arario and Bronson actually hated each other. So that's the actual SoCal and NorCal beef, right? It was mostly
Really?
them two.
Okay.
Yeah, they actually hated each other. And that's
Damn.
where Debug got born. I think it was at Evo. I think it was at Evo West. They used to have Evo qualifiers back in the day. You know what's crazy about that tournament? There was Evo Northwest, East, South, right? All four.
Yeah.
If you made like top 8 or place like top 16, you would get seeded for actual Evo.
Oh, like the way we're doing it this year for the online kind of, right? Like we have different regions, different evils, different regions, and then at the end you go to an actual offline evo.
Kind of, yeah. But this one's more like the online one's more like a qualifier, and then everybody
Right.
goes to the offline thing at the end. So it's a little bit different on that part. But yeah, like this was just for seeding, and you would get seeded better or whatever, or you didn't have to play the first pool. You would make it to the second pool or whatever. Yeah, it
Okay.
was,
And
so
Spirojo was playing, still playing his Eddie back then, right?
yeah.
That's his character, right?
Spiro was playing as Eddie. Yeah, Spiro was playing as Eddie. But like the Bronson Arario rivalry really happened at the Evo West.
Why did that happen? I don't even know. I didn't even know there was a rivalry between those two.
Yeah, they used to hate each other, man. Because Arario used to talk shit, and Bronson was a shit talker too. So you know they're just clashing heads all the time. Bronson playing scum ass Ganryu.
He
And
plays
then,
the cheapest characters in every game, right? That's like
dude,
his thing, right?
Down forward 2 was safe and launch crouchers. Watch his matches. Watch his T5 matches. Watch what that man does. All he does is walk around, down forward 2 and throws, and a couple of down forward 3s here and there.
And what's the throw for? To get you to duck or something?
Yeah, he's just a thrower, dude. He just throws a shit ton of tournament.
That's so good,
dude. So yeah, like, oh man. So and that's where Jaha was at that tournament too. If you guys want to know the lore for where Debug came from, it's from that tournament.
When you say lore for Debug, is that like that?
Debug?
Like, yeah, Debug. That's
yeah,
where it came from.
That's where it came from.
Every time I just know he's like a big buff Asian dude that threw Bronson over a cliff or something. That's like all I know about him.
Exactly.
Who is he? Is that
Jaha
it?
was a SoCal dude. Jaha was a SoCal dude too. So before he moved out of here, you know, I think he lives out in Midwest or somewhere now. But yeah, he was a SoCal dude too. So it's just cheering on the boy Arario, also from SoCal. Right. And it's just like, fuck you, Bronson. No, fuck you, Arario. It's just like the whole back and forth. And then whenever they were playing in tournament, and then Arario would be hitting him with debugs, right? Jaha in the crowd would just be like, debug. Like, dude, that's where all the lore and all that shit comes from. Like, I hear a bunch of people like screaming at that stuff, you know, it's like, but they don't even know where it came from.
I had no idea. I mean, me
neither. Honestly, I probably would have just chanted that shit too without fucking knowing.
Yeah, it's just a little flex in that tournament. Arario ended up winning that Evo West. He got first. Bronson got second. But then, man, Bronson got me with some shit, dude. I did Sonic Fang, and Ganryu's while standing 2 teleported through me, and he was like, "I'll play." I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" You know, like, and that was like my first like big major, and then this is like my first year of playing, right? Like my first year of competitive Tekken, and then like that was like my first major, and I ended up getting 5th, and I only ended up, dude, I only ended up losing to, Filthy. He was Filthy Rich. He was my mentor and like my teacher basically, and taught me everything. And then I lost to Bronson with that bullshit, right? But then I was the only guy that actually knocked Arario into losers in that tournament.
Oh,
Holy shit. Okay, so at this point, how long have you sounds crazy to me as someone.
Dude, this is like maybe 6-8 months of me playing.
Oh
6-8
my
months.
And
god.
okay,
Not
he
even a
told him
year
in
yet.
losers, and he made it back from losers.
Yeah.
Beat
Yeah.
Oh
Bronze on
god.
the winner side, then, right?
Yep.
Okay. Oh shit.
Okay, hold up. So we got to pump the brakes. I feel like you just put a bunch of shit in our faces, but you were playing for 6 or 8 months and you got a top 8 at Evo in a really popular
Evo
game.
West. Evo West.
Evo
So
West.
it's,
Sorry.
so it's not
Maybe
like
still.
a qualifier for true Evo. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got, dude. How did that feel? Was that like a vindication of all the hard work? How much were you training at that time? Let's talk about that. What did it take to get that result?
Oh, dude. Like, honestly, it was having Filthy as a teacher because, at the time, Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection wasn't on PlayStation 3. It was only on PSP. So, if you guys
Wow.
wanted to play the game at home or practice it or anything, like you had to play that shit on PSP. And PSP notoriously had the worst fucking D-pad in the world. So
Yeah, that thing hurt like hell, dude. Good
Like,
thing
you
I didn't know how to backdash back then or anything, you know.
dude, try doing an electric on that PSP D-pad, bro. Like that
Dude,
shit.
I only did like
Oh my god.
just uppercuts. I didn't know you could actually do an electric until I saw like the computers doing it.
Yeah, right.
I was like,
Yeah.
how the fuck did
No,
they do
that's
this
true.
shit?
So Filthy Rich at the time, he was offering to do mods on PSPs, right? Like as long as I went over to his pad, and then he was just like, "Yeah, dude, just give me like $5. I'll mod your
Jailbreak
pad."
it, right?
Yeah, no, he just like opens it up and he like changes a couple
Oh,
of
okay.
things on it, right? So it's actually playable. So it's just like, oh shit, that does fix the pad. It actually feels like an actual PS2 controller or some shit, right? So it's
nice.
like you can actually do shit on it. And then after that, after he modded my pad that day, he was just like, "Hey man, you want to play some games?" And then yeah, we're both playing on PSP at his pad. And then, we ended up playing for like maybe 2-3 hours. And then he was like, "Bro, if you ever want to play again, just let me know. Just hit me up, right? You could always come through."
Right.
And so I took him up on it. And then before I knew it, I was going over to his pad like on the weekends, like every day, or like maybe even one extra day during the week or something, like 3-4 days a week. And
And
then
where did you meet him? I don't know if you mentioned it. Where did you actually meet Filthy?
uh just at Super Arcade and in the forums, Tekken
Oh,
Zaibatsu.
okay.
Yeah, that's where everybody used to talk and chat, discuss the games, get
Yeah,
into
he's a cool guy.
fights.
I met that guy one time at WNF. I think it was probably the last
Mhm.
year before the
Oh yeah,
pandemic.
he showed up to one. Yeah,
Yeah, he
definitely.
showed up and he gave me some advice on how to play against Rip because I told him like I know what he's doing. I just can't stop him from
Yeah.
doing what he's doing. And
Filthy's
he,
a good one to ask
I
for
told
that.
him I was like his style pisses me off. Dude. He's like just let him do his shit. And like he'll eventually make a mistake. Just don't, it's kind of like a Link player, right? You don't want to attack after they do it, they whiff something
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's like he's
Let him
setting you up
hang
for
himself
something,
a little bit. Yeah,
and he's just
like
like, yeah,
that's
just
Rip. Let him
freaking,
hang himself a little bit.
yeah. He says something along those lines. Just let him hang himself. Like he does it all the time. And that was the first time I beat Rip, dude. Bro, I just took his advice and it worked out. I was like, what the hell, dude? I just gotta wait.
No,
And
he's
he
great.
and
Yeah,
he'll
he's
give me,
great.
yeah.
He gives great advice and he knows like exactly what to say. And like that's what happened. I just went over his pad at like maybe 7-8 p.m. And then we ended up playing till like 7-8 a.m.
Damn.
Oh man.
in his garage on the PSP.
So was
So
it Bluetooth? What is it? How did this work? PSP
Like
Wi-Fi?
wireless connection. Like if you have two PSPs nearby, you could just play near each other. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, the
That's
PSP had his own
awesome.
thing for that, right?
And the PSP had his own thing for that. And that's how we used to practice. And then like I think we did that for like maybe 2-3 months. And then before I knew it, like I won my first local, and then it was like the Evo West. And then it was like actual Evo. Man,
How'd you do there?
I actually beat a shit ton of East Coast. It's actually
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
That was a goal back then, I'm guessing. You're talking about the whole rivalry thing. So beating an East Coast player, that's
Dude, that was the main rivalry. Spiro
Yeah.
Jane versus Arario. They had a 1-10 money match to start it off before the tournament even happened. Before the tournament even happened, right? $300, I think, money match, 1-10. And dude, that's a shit ton back in the day, right? So
Yeah. 1000%. Yeah.
so it's just like, dude, they play 1-10. It was mad close too. But then at the very end, Aurario is like up like maybe a couple games, right? He had a little bit of a buffer and he had like set point and it's infinite stage. The dude backs up full screen and does Jack baseball slide and takes it.
I would have killed myself. Oh my god.
Bro.
4-4, 3+4, right? We just throw
Yeah.
yourself at him. And
Yeah, dude.
Takes a whole round to
shit
recover.
talking did not stop, dude. I was on SRK too, but SRK and TZ, they're like the same vibe, you know. That's where you went to discuss tech, find combos. They had some good info there too. That's where you would find all the stuff. You know, everybody was like pretty active back in the day, and then you know it's forums, so everything gets archived. Like people would start talking shit. You know, it was the best.
That's the only
Honestly,
thing I've heard about Tekken's like bots. So like when people would bring it up now, it's like it's always as a joke. Like oh, the guy's talking shit where Tekken's like Batsu, and it's like
no,
I never
honestly,
knew I never knew what it was. You know, I've only heard that as a joke, so I never knew exactly what exactly it was meant for. You know.
Yeah,
So
J-Ram used to
honestly,
say to me, he used to say
yeah.
like, if I dropped a combo, it'd be, oh, that's a Tekken Zaibatsu combo. Like, you just got a bunk ass combo.
No, I don't know where that comes from because like TZ actually had good stuff, you know, like because like that could be said if you're just saying like Castell combo video combos, right? Because it's just like, yeah, like, oh shit, he added 5 dash jabs in that combo and there's exploration of space going on in the background. But oh shit, 5 dash jabs into mob punch, let's go. You know, it's just like that was the shit back in the day.
that
But
shit looks cool. Like even right now.
But honestly, if you went into the forum part, like there was good tech there. Like people actually, that's where you would find all the information about like the beta test. There would be some players in Japan like posting about like, oh, new location test. Here's some screenshots. Here's the blah blah blah. My experience with the game. Here's the new moves for these characters. Like that's where you would find all the tech back in the day. Like nowadays, we're a little spoiled, right? With like Twitter, like being so readily available, YouTube, all that stuff. But then all the stuff like, you know, Tekken is so bad archiving that shit on Twitter. Honestly, we don't even use like the hashtags that the other games do. So if anybody wants
Yeah.
to research that shit after it goes by their timeline, it's gone. You know, it's like
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that I noticed when I was getting into Tekken Tag 2 is that I feel like a lot of people were getting information on the game through like these Japanese websites that were not translated. Like I remember sometimes it would be like announcements and stuff, and it'd be like on a Japanese website.
yeah.
And I feel like now everything's easier on Twitter. But yeah, I've never really like I never noticed how easy it is now just to get any kind of like info. Like on top of the fact that everything that gets when someone discovers something like a release that wasn't supposed to be announced or anything like that, like it's out like instantly and everyone knows about it. You know, like nothing's really hidden anymore. And Tekken's kind of or Twitter rather, it's like you go there for anything combos and not even I've seen punishment videos on Twitter that are actually pretty helpful. Like you just go on there 2 minutes. How do you get around this stupid cloning move? And it's right there. It's like it's pretty useful now. But
the only bad part about Twitter is that you have to like bookmark it yourself if you want to look at it later because it's just like there's no good way of like bookkeeping, you know, everything. You know, that's the bad part about Twitter. But that was the great part about TZ. Like every time you wanted to find any information about like here's my BNB with these characters. Nowadays you just go to YouTube, right? Like you go to like channels like Corey Jam. He literally has like characters, every character's bread and butters from like regular to easy. Like, you know, like what do you have to worry about anymore?
When this game came out, I started making they were really like really bootlegged guys that were kind of just for me for when I would travel out of tournaments and I would have them as reference. But I would go into practice mode and just check out like all the moves for like Chloe and how to block punish them and move around them. And I just recorded all that and put it in a video on my channel. And I kind of just did it for myself.
Yeah,
but,
that helps out too.
Yeah. So whenever I would go out there, I'm like, okay, it's hard to remember all these things, in an actual match. So I would just pop up any video of characters that I struggle with, and I had all this, like just information down for my matchup. And I started doing it, but it helped me out.
Your videos had hella comments, dude. Some guy asked you to make a Patreon, so your shit got a lot of views. Like that shit was super good.
Too, and I was like, this is just for me, but like I didn't really put any effort into like editing anything. I put all the clips into one big video and that was it. Like, if there's repeats or fuck ups, like whatever, it's just for me. So
yeah. No, I mean that's honestly good. Usually I've been just using a notepad, and I get lazy on that too. But usually if I know I'm gonna forget about it the next day, I'm just like, okay, at least write it down somewhere. At
Yeah.
least for
Yeah.
me. But yeah, I don't even look at it. A lot of times it's just like doing. It's like the type of learner you are, the kinesthetic learner, I think it is. Like
Mhm.
where it's not just visual, it's like you have to do it yourself. But it's like for me, if I write something down in a notepad, it's like writing it down in my memory. It's like, or
Yeah.
like for some people writing it, making a video, it's like a good reference
Mhm.
point too. You could always go back to.
Yeah, I mean, it helped me out because
Sure.
my style, like the way I like to play the game, I've always like when I see like a key move from a character, I need to know how to get around that move. Like an easy example is just jackhammer. It's a safe move, hard to deal with. If you don't know how to
Yeah.
step that, like good luck, right? Like it just
Mhm.
feels impossible to deal with that move.
You're just
But
gonna do that all
that's why,
day. Yeah.
yeah, that's why I would lab in that sense. Like I just want to know how to move around the characters because you can't just sidestep randomly and hope that something works. You
Yeah.
gotta know what you're sidestepping, and that's how I started learning the game. Just you go and practice more labbing all those things, and I would just record them just so I can. If I, it's easy to remember or forget everything, right? Like you go out to a tournament and there's all these
Oh
different
yeah.
players with all these dumb characters you don't see in your scene, and good luck remembering what you practice back at home. Like that's why I had those videos up for myself.
Yeah. No, that's honestly a great idea. That's honestly a great idea.
How do you lab? How do you lab multiple characters? Do you have like any advice? I guess so. Basically, just to fill you in, our our podcast is called FGC Job Squad. This is for kind of scrubs and scrub people who are trying to reform themselves of being a scrub. So a lot of our content is about improving and things like that. So, what's your advice about people who are trying to learn multiple matchups, things like that?
Honestly, there's a couple people I try to help out all the time with Tekken, right? And it's just you got to put in the work. A lot of the times it's just like you could keep trying to do the same thing over and over and over again because I've seen it so many times, right? Like if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, like how can you expect a different result, right?
Right.
You got to try different things. You got to if something's really giving you problems, like a certain sequence, a certain pattern or a certain like everything can be broken down to a certain extent, right? Like sometimes you just have to hold it, right? But it's
Yeah,
like maybe you got to look at the scenario before that puts you there. Or
right.
like, yeah, so it's like you kind of have to like the way that Pickle was explaining it too, where I recorded all these scenarios. If that's the way that helps you remember it or re-remember it later, like just for reference, and also you gotta practice these scenarios, right? Like I was
Yeah.
helping out a certain streamer slash player that I've been helping out lately, and he was having trouble with like Leroy player doing down forward 1-1 into down 1-2 or down forward 1-1 into parry, right? And that's all
Yeah.
he was doing, right? And I was just like, and then he kept swinging after it. He kept
Yeah.
swinging after down forward 1-1. And I'm like, why do you keep swinging with down forward 1 after his down forward 1-1? He's only -1 and he's doing down jabber parry after it every time. Every time.
Yeah.
You, it's honestly you just have to recognize what you're doing wrong. And sometimes it's not that easy, right? A lot of times I feel as though it's that scene from Dragon Ball, right? Dragon Ball Z, I always bring this up when I talk about this because it's just like it's just so relatable. It's like when Piccolo's first training Gohan in Z, and then
Mhm.
he's just like, "Oh my god, they're moving too fast. I can't see what's going on." And Piccolo's just like, "Hold on, little young buck." It's just like, just slow down. Just pay attention. See what's hitting you. See what's going on in the fight. And then Gohan's finally able to start seeing the fight, right? It's just
Yeah.
he
The
a lot
best.
a lot of players aren't self-aware with like what they're doing wrong, and they don't have the eyes yet. They don't have the eyes on what they're doing wrong. And sometimes like that's why you play against Rip or somebody on Monday Night Tekken. And then he's gonna point out a couple things you did wrong. And then like sometimes when Stukin is streaming, you go play against him or play against whoever, right? And then they're gonna point out things that you do wrong. And then it's up to you to fix those things.
Yeah, and it helps having someone, like watch over you. Like that's not something that
For sure.
many players have, right? Not many people have someone that can just let them know,
Mhm.
like, hey, dude, like I don't know if you noticed this, but there's a really bad habit that every time you get hit with this, you always retaliate, or you always, put push a button after like two
Right.
back dashes or something. I noticed some people they cannot block for more than a second and a half. Like if I had a timer, I could click
Rip
it.
and
They're gonna
Sukin.
hit right here, 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 and
Rip
then
and
yeah, rip and Sukin. I mean, like they just have this like this pattern where like I don't know what you're gonna do, but I know you're gonna do something. So I'll just play defense, and you'll eventually like give me an opening, right? And but I've noticed that too. Like some people they're just not aware of that, and I don't know why that is. I feel like when I lose matches, I'm always thinking like, what the hell, like what went wrong, right? Like I don't just say, okay, that's over. That's it's in the past.
You know what it is? I think over the years I've realized it, and some people it's just the mindset. It's just like how they came up. It's
Yeah,
discipline. It's like some people just lack the discipline because it's just like some of the wavelengths and mindsets I've heard is like, you know what? I'll get them next time. I just had to do that shit faster. I just didn't do
yeah.
it fast enough, and it's
Or
just like,
when you hear the excuses of like oh no, like he shouldn't have been. I fucked up, and I should have done this and that. But it's like, dude, you don't realize that you're making a bunch of mistakes, where you're trying to blame it like you're not
yeah.
giving him credit. You're saying like you're better than him. You were
Yeah,
just
I
it's
think
a bad
that's
day for you. Like
I
that's
think
how can that help?
honestly, if you're trying to become a fighting game player or better at anything,
Yeah,
honestly, is just get rid of that toxic mindset already. It's
yeah.
just like, oh,
Be
it's somebody
humble.
else's fault, everybody else's
Mhm.
fault. It's like, dude, you lost. You
Yeah,
lost. It's a 1v1 game. It's 1v1 game, lag or not, sure, whatever, especially in online tournaments. Like, yeah,
yeah,
you could blame the lag, sure, but you know what you signed up for. But it's just like,
yeah.
it's also too, it's just like sometimes you're playing opponents coast to coast. It's bound to happen. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I signed up to Evo Online and I was like, okay, no matter what happens, it's Evo Online.
yeah.
Like
And didn't you get like mad close too?
dude, I got pretty close, and it's funny because towards the end of that tournament, I started streaming for the SD guys, and
Mhm.
it was just like a random stream. So I was using the wrong OBS, and so there was like delay on my game on top of the fact that it was
Oh,
online, and I was playing through like that. Like I went through Armor Crew, and I was like, damn, Armor Crew feels a lot laggier this time, than last week when I played them, but I managed to just pull through. I don't know how. It felt so bad, but then I fought an Armor King player and I got hit with like every throw, and I'm like, is like a button, fucked up or something? Like what's going on? Like I'm not breaking any throws. Like it's T7 throws, like just anything was hitting me. I was like, what the fuck's going on? And I lost, and I was like, damn, okay, whatever. Like I had a smile on my face. Like I actually enjoyed Evo Online. I don't know why, but I enjoyed it. And I was like 2 matches away. I had to play Anakin after that Armor King player had I won, and then
Mhm.
that was for loser side top 8. I'm like, what the fuck? And it's funny because that tournament, I got put in losers for going to the bathroom after my match, and I came back and I got DQ'd. So
Wow.
that's how I went out in losers at the beginning of that tournament. But again, I signed up for that. I was like, whatever, dude. Even when that happened, I was like, I can't get pissed off. Like it's not their fault that they're running things on time. Like I thought they're gonna take forever for my second match, so I just took my sweet ass time in the bathroom. And it's like, holy shit, they're actually on time. Like, what the fuck was I thinking?
I
But
think,
yeah, dude,
yeah,
signed up
that
for that.
it is what it is mentality is the best. And it's just like, dude, there's gonna be another tournament. There's gonna be another chance to prove yourself. Just keep doing what you're doing. As long as you're playing good ass Tekken, you'll be
Yeah,
fine. Honestly, like,
dude, I've noticed so many people are getting like really good from just
mhm.
playing online tournaments. Like some of the players, like I remember AccuMajor when I first played him online, maybe like a year or two ago. Like I would rough him up online, and then I've been seeing him like play every week. Ever since like the pandemic and everything, I see him playing every tournament. And then
Mhm.
I bumped into him online like a couple months back. I was like, holy fuck, this dude's hella good. Like I can barely get a game on him now, And I told him too. I was like, dude, you got so damn good. And he used to always like message me on Steam after we played, and just like he's always like, wow, you're so annoying with Steve and all this stuff. And I think one time, remember when he went to the electric conch and what is it, the WNF, the esports arena? I think he beat Jimmy J Tran in that tournament.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, like he was in my bracket, but I couldn't make it because of some school shit. But he told me, he's like, dude, thank God he didn't show because I don't want to play against you, Steve. But I was like, man, like compared to like that guy to now, like he is just a beast, dude. Like I don't know what happened, but he leveled up like crazy. Like I always see him just do hella good online, and it's even though it's online, like it's still enough to improve. Everyone's dealing
Oh,
with it, so
definitely.
either
Definitely. Yeah,
like
I mean, we're seeing it right now in this online era, and I've been saying it, right? This is something that happens but then this usually happens in between titles, but we're having it happen like during the title because the pandemic happened,
So
Yeah.
right?
crazy.
But usually in between titles, people are like, "Oh yeah, I won't play Tekken. I'll just play something else, and then I'll take a break, and then I'll focus on when the new game comes out." Right? And a lot of times, I've seen a shit ton of people improve in between the break because they kept playing.
Mhm.
You know, it's just like honestly, the grind always pays off. I mean, even my whole story with like Filthy Rich, right? I was only playing with him in his garage for like 3 months before I won my first local, and
Yeah.
then it was with dudes that were winning tournaments. Like I beat every good player at that tournament to win.
That's
You
so
know,
cool.
it's like I had to fight Rip, I had to fight Eris, I had to fight Kane, Kane,
Oh,
and then I had to fight Filthy, my teacher in grand finals. You know, it was just and Filthy and Kane were top 8 placers at Evo at the time. So it's just like
this T6 came with Lily, right?
yeah, T6 came with Lily, but fucking Kane and Filthy were fucking dirty ass Bishiba players at the time, playing number 1 and 2, Kane with the Devil Jin, and fucking Filthy with the Heihachi.
Okay,
And
so let's get to T6 then. So T6 comes out, right? Or we're already on T6 with
mm,
your victories. Were those T5 DR?
yeah, T5 DR, like Evo 2007, yeah, East Coast, West Coast rivalry. Arario ends up winning it uh in the actual tournament as well, taking it over Spiro. They had the same set in grand finals. And then yeah,
God.
that was the end of Arario. And then after that, like he kind of stopped playing. And then it was like Kane and myself in Tekken 6 for like the first half. But
What was SoCal like in the T6 days? Was it any different from the T5 days? Were you guys playing on consoles at this point? Like, what was different about T6 days? Most memorable things?
all arcades still. Still all arcades. That was the beauty of it.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was the beauty of it. You know, the arcade Tekken 6 was hard to get. Because the cabinet, they had like the Noir cabinet that Namco created, and that shit was like 17K or like 20K plus for some fucking reason. So like the arcade owners in America didn't want to drop a fucking car worth on a fucking arcade cabinet that they weren't sure they're gonna make their money
You
back
need
on.
several of them, right? You don't want just one. Or
But the
don't.
luckily they had a 1 player and 2 player single cabinet model as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So yeah, you could just buy that ones, and that's usually what happened.
That's still a
But
shitload. Holy 20,000 for an
yeah,
arcade cabinet?
yeah, bro.
What the hell? That is a car. Fuck that. I would never buy that either.
Yeah, and they're trying to make that shit back at like a quarter, 50 cents, $1 a game. You're like,
No,
bro,
yeah, doesn't work. That makes
yeah.
sense why that model
Yes,
died.
that's the one thing I can't imagine about the arcade days is like I would have
I,
never
I
been able
think
to
I
afford to
think
play.
that's the problem with the arcades, man. Like the machines started getting too crazy. And then like yeah, once they started costing that much, it's just like, how are they supposed to keep up? How are
Yeah,
they
I
supposed
heard
to
in
keep
like
up?
Yeah,
Korea that they were paying like $1 per game for was
Yeah,
it for T7?
yeah,
that's so
probably.
insane to me.
And
That's so insane to me.
have you
You know,
seen those players that have like in the arcades they have like 13,000 wins with like Palm? Like how much money did they dump into the arcade? Like is that
bro,
are those the players that are keeping the arcade alive?
Yeah.
bro, right? Yeah, think about it. Yeah, think about it. It's crazy. It's great. And honestly, in Tekken 6 days, SoCal was spoiled as fuck.
Why was it spoiled?
Because like rest of the NA, I think New York had a cab, NorCal had maybe 1 or 2 cabs too, but SoCal, the fucking reason why we were spoiled is we had 2 cabs and they were both for a quarter.
What? That's amazing. I would love to come down if that was the case. A quarter, and the game is new at that point, right?
Yeah, it was a quarter.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
Quarter.
That's that shit was the you know what it was? It was because Super Arcade was right next to a community college named Mount San Antonio College, right? So it's like you had and then and Mount San Antonio College is right next to Cal Poly, right? So you had 2 colleges right next to this arcade. So you got a lot of like foot traffic from the college kids coming over, and then a lot of regulars coming through Super Arcade. But then the crazy part was there was this guy that owned a video store just down the street from Super Arcade. and he got a cabinet as well in his video store, and it was a smoke shop as well, Video 94, and he put the game on for a quarter. He was like, fuck
Oh my
Super
God.
Arcade, come to my place, play the shit at my store, I'll put that shit for a quarter. And
Okay,
then
was that the place that got like raided by the cops?
Yep.
I've heard a
Mhm.
story.
Yep,
Were
that's
you
the
there
same
at the
place.
time or no?
I was.
The
I
blood
was.
Can we hear your version? We need to hear the MYK version.
Sure. I wasn't like a super crazy stoner at the time. So yeah, I was clean. We were all there playing, just Tekken 6 at the time, and then the cops rolled through, like in SWAT gear and like guns out and everything, right? So the cops actually got busted for this later on because I ended up working at this video store. I got a job there one day because the boss asked me if I wanted a job when I was asking for change to play more Tekken. Oh man, that was the funniest one ever.
Was he like, you want job? Or
Yeah.
what the fuck?
He's like, "Oh my god, huh? You want a job, huh?" That was honestly how it happened. That shit was so funny. But yeah, the cops rolled through with like SWAT gear on, and then they had their freaking pistols out and shit. And then they actually got in trouble because there was like a mom and her daughter there, and then they had the gun pointed at them too. And then she was just like,
Holy
"What the?"
shit.
She was just like, "What the fuck?" She complained to the city, so they can't do any more raids there. And she's like, "It was wild. It was wild, right?"
That's insane.
And we're just a couple of fucking Tekken freaking nerds over here playing it over in the corner. And then he also had a Street Fighter cab too. But then it was mostly us Tekken guys that day. There was like maybe 15 of us, maybe 10, 15 of us.
On one cab, just waiting for your return.
Yeah, just waiting for our turn. And then they didn't let any of us leave, right? They freaking made us sit all along the walls in the freaking arcade section of the video store.
Yeah.
And then they had a video camera out. They asked for our IDs, and then they were just like, "Dude, we need to check your cars or some shit," right? Because there was, I think, strippers and beer and Char and Eris, right? Outside. And then they were just like, I think they checked strippers and beer's car, and they found like a gram of weed. And that's about it. And then they did all that, and then he got like a $30-$50 ticket for it. And I was just like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
let's leave it something. You know, they were just looking for anything.
Yeah, dude, they literally couldn't find anything. So yeah, they had to like start searching people's cars, and I was just like, wow, dude, these guys are fucking assholes. But yeah,
I
I was
wish
pretty
I was
legit.
I
wish I
can't
was a
imagine
part
that
of the
happening
FGC.
in today's scene, or maybe I can, but that's just something I'd never imagine happening. That's
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's kind of how I got into freaking fighting games, right? Like before the third strike thing, I was a skateboarder, and then I actually like sprained my ankles, and that's why I went to the arcade with my friends because I used to just skate with my other skating friends at the time. But
Hey,
then
okay.
yeah,
Who's your favorite skater, and how'd you get into skating? I want to ask you about that.
I don't remember how I got into skate. I think it was just like a cool thing, fun thing to do at the time.
I quit on the first kickflip that sprained my ankle. And that was it. Like, I went from doing ollies on the grass. I was like, all right, I can do some tricks on concrete. And then I went for a kickflip, and I was like, no, that's it. I'm just gonna stay home and eat and play video games. Fuck this.
Dude, that's what happened, man. Like I sprained my right ankle and then it healed. And then I sprained my left ankle and then that shit healed. And then I sprained my right ankle again after that shit healed. And I'm like, all right, maybe I'll take a little bit of a break. And that's when I started getting into like third strike and shit.
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
was
Do you have a
bad.
favorite skater or anyone who
Favorite
likes watching?
skaters. I had a bunch, man, but like I think like some of my favorites were like definitely like Mark Appleyard. I met all of my favorites too.
Oh,
So
really?
Okay,
yeah.
how'd you meet your favorite skaters? What were you doing? You're just hanging out at skate parks in SoCal?
Some of those, and sometimes it was like skate shop signings and shit, and skate shop demos and stuff. So like Mark Appleyard, I met I think like 2-3 times. But yeah, his style is just too fucking steezy, dude. Like he's just too fucking clean. He makes everything look like it's no effort. And a couple other ones too. Like I got to meet a bunch of them, like Paul Rodriguez, the skater. Like that's his
P-Rod?
like yeah, P Rod. Yeah, his father's the comedian, the son is the skater, and his son's fucking good. He's so clean too.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Met him, PJ Ladd. I got to meet him at a skate park. like with just me and my friends all by ourselves, and we were just like, "What the fuck is that, PJ Ladd? Oh fuck, that is PJ Ladd."
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
he was
into
back
skating
on
because of
too.
Tony Hawk, the games. That's why
Yeah.
I got into it, and
Fair.
I just thought it was
Yeah,
easy.
those two. Yeah, those two definitely had an influence on it for sure.
Yeah, and one of my favorite ones was Rodney Mullen. That guy was doing shit that just didn't make any sense, dude. And
Oh yeah, all
like,
the freestyle stuff. Yeah, he
yeah,
was he
like
was the master of it for
yeah, he
sure.
was on some shit, and I just thought that like, it must be like it doesn't look too complicated to do a kickflip when you see this guy just spinning all over the place. But no,
He's
dude.
doing like quadruple kickflip into like a
Yeah,
one-sided primo into like a, and then he does
exactly.
like a 360 with his body into another. I'm like, what is he into? What? What?
Yeah, he's fucking riding the board on his hands, dude. Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
exactly.
And then
I'm just
he
like,
would
what is
flip
it?
it. He's doing a handstand. He would flip it like a kickflip with his hands, and then land on his feet.
Fucked up shit that
Dude, and
happened,
the,
cops chasing you or anything like that, and we'll move on.
oh yeah, for
What's
sure.
what's the biggest thing that sticks on your head is like, God damn, that's
Cops chasing
or
or
whatever,
yeah, I
just
mean,
either. Yeah, whatever.
I guess like the craziest one, we were all at Chino skate park, and then they have like these big like maybe 10-12 foot fences, right? But then the cops rolled through from the front entrance, and then they were trying to bust anybody that didn't have safety gear. And we ain't no bitch. We ain't gonna wear no fucking safety gear, right? Like we fucking get hurt, we get hurt, whatever, right? Not a big deal. But then the cops rolled through from the front. And then we're like, oh fuck. So we all like jumped on the biggest ledge in the back, and then we hopped out the fence, right? We fucking ran through the park, which is like a huge ass park. We ran all the way to the back, and then they had cops waiting for us there too. We're like,
Damn.
holy shit.
That's so
They
good.
had all the exits blocked, bro. That shit was
That's where the
crazy.
tax
And
dollars
then they
go
had,
to.
dude, they honestly had like maybe 30 to 40 dudes lined up on the curb, and they gave all of us tickets for not having like safety gear on.
Oh,
And then we all had to show up to court, and we were just like all there with our parents on the court day. We are just like, hey, hey. That shit was pretty funny, man.
That's pretty
damn.
good. That's hilarious.
It's always fun when you're
It
young,
was
dude.
like a fucking stupid $30 ticket too. I'm like,
Yeah,
bro, are you serious? You're really gonna waste all our times with this?
I think they waste more, way more money just having you guys even show up and
Yeah,
do all that shit.
Dude,
of
that
course
shit
they do.
was
Yeah,
so extra. Yeah.
dude. In college, like the best part was if cops busted a party running away was the mini game at the end of the night. If it happened, so your
Dude,
heart
they were
basically racing.
good. We
Yeah,
usually always got away, but they got us good that time.
yeah. That's
Damn.
hilarious. Okay, so T6 days, uh, SoCal was spoiled. You guys were only paying a quarter. Is that how you guys
Yep.
got so good? Like you
Yeah.
guys were just paying a quarter, and what was the win limit? Could you only win 3 and you
There
had to get
was
off for one?
none.
What? So you could be on for 100 wins in a row on a
Yeah,
one
you
quarter?
got good or you
What?
keep fucking paying money. You got
That's
good.
insane.
You got good or you kept having to pay money, first off. Secondly, you have to wait a 30 to an hour wait for the rotation because there's only one cap.
That's
So
insane.
so if you that's why you got good. We're
Dude,
so spoiled.
on
Everyone's
the East
complaining
Coast,
about online, blah blah blah. It's like, bro, you could just jump on and play whenever. Like,
Mhm.
so when I listened to No Frills podcast,
mhm.
when their Street Fighter 4 cabinets came out, like Henry Sen found out that they could put a win limit on it, and they put it to only
Oh
like
yeah,
very little, and then like $1 per match. So like
that shit
that's
didn't exist in SoCal, bro. Like that shit
that's
did not.
amazing.
Dude, that was the craziest part. So that's where like we got that's why we got good. And honestly, since we lost that, I think we haven't been the same ever since. Honestly. But because it's like we're trying to keep it alive, but with the online, and that's like the only way to train, but it's not the same as offline. And the proof is in the pudding everywhere. Like
Yeah.
even at the highest level, like Korea's still playing in online, right? And Pakistan's playing offline every fucking day, like first to 20s, first to 50s. Like they ain't fucking around.
Yeah,
And we're
that's how you should do it, man.
that is the way to do it.
Like, I
That
can't wait
like
till offline comes back.
like I said, like with me and Filthy, like playing from 7 to 7 in a garage on a PSP, like you gotta put in the work and you gotta fix your errors, your things that are doing that you're doing wrong. Having a mentor is great. Or honestly, did you guys see the Tekken Online challenge that the most recent one, the Middle East?
No, I
I
did not.
no, I was just watching the one in Africa.
Yeah,
Either way, explain for our viewers if we
yeah,
didn't
I
see it.
think the country of Jordan, they said there's only a group of 20 dudes that really love this game. We don't have great internet or whatever, but we always try to meet up with each other and play all the time. And bro, the proof
Oh,
is in the pudding. That's all you need. All you really need is about like maybe 15, 20 players that are serious
yeah,
and that want to grind. You need to grind.
yeah.
Okay.
That's
So one thing I know about you, MYK, I'm a OG listener of the ATP podcast, but one
Mm.
thing you have championed on that podcast back in the day was playing multiple fighting games to get better at your main fighting game. Was there any of that at this time with Tekken 6, or no? You still hadn't explored that mentality.
I think when did Tekken 6 come out? I think this is because
2006, 7. I thought.
2000. I mean, Street Fighter 4 came out like 2008, right?
It was like post PS3 launch, so I want to say 07, 08, right?
Yeah, I think.
November 2007. That's probably the console, I'm guessing.
Oh, so it was an arcade in 07. So I think I was like exploring Street Fighter 4 at the time, like because I was playing it since like launch at the arcade.
Right. You were playing other fighting games, and how did that help you play Tekken, or how did that help you improve at Tekken?
I think the things that you could carry over in every fighting game definitely can apply, like life management, fundamentals, like dude, just be a little more patient. You have like a 50% life lead and they're about to die. Like just don't hang yourself,
Yeah.
like little things like that. And then realizing how people panic in other games too, and then how you can break them apart, or realizing your own faults too. It's like, oh shit, why do I panic like this in this game? Or why do I do this in this scenario? It's just like seeing those things. It's not like a direct translation to Tekken every time, but I think it helps open up your mind in like other ideas and other applications of like different strategies, like from other games too.
Yeah, thank God Tekken did not have, I guess originally did not have any kind of like DP, because I would have totally learned the game so wrong had there been some bullshit like that, but
Right, yeah.
yeah.
So Street Fighter 4 came out close to T6 release, or were you on SF4 like
I
like
think
everyone else?
I think it was like the transition period, or like Tekken 6 was out already, but like I played Street Fighter 4 at the time with it. And that's pretty much like how it went. And then I also played like Marvel 3 after that. Yeah, and I was playing with like James and stuff too, because he played those 2D games too.
Just Frame James?
Just Friend James, yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
so it's just like we were just all arcade heads, and that's the thing, right? Like if you're not streaking on the Tekken cabinet, you're waiting on 30 minutes to an hour, so you might as well play something else while you have your quarter up, right? Just remember your line and turn in the rotation. That's about it.
How far did you get in Tekken 6? Like, what was your furthest placement in Tekken 6?
Oh man, Tekken 6 was good to me too. Tekken 6 was pretty good.
How'd you do? I don't know the lore.
Like right before Tekken 6 though, like DR, like I guess the big main thing for me right before I got into 6 was, and that was DR was still my first game. 6 was my second because it's the next one in the line. But DR, I think near the end of my first year of playing after Evo was SBO Quals. And it was held in NorCal. And basically the winner, it was a 3v3 qualifiers to go to Super Battle Opera. That's what SBO stands for, in Japan. And it's held at some like grand arena, and that's where they hold a bunch of tournaments for a bunch of fighting games. And it was kind of like the prestigious thing other than Evo at the time.
Is
Wow.
that the one with the intros where they do like an intro for every player and all
Yup.
that? Yeah,
With
okay.
the red carpet and
Yeah.
the fog machine.
Yeah.
That's
So
and that's
wow, so
where
you qualified for this.
yeah, and then this is the first time SoCal defeated the NorCal back in the day without Arario even. So
At
this is like,
SBO?
yeah, for SBO Quals held in NorCal. And you know what's the craziest thing? My team was myself, Kane, and Chet. And
Chetty?
Chetty, yeah. The
Oh
only
wow, that's
The only
amazing.
other rule for this tournament was that we were all forced to play on stick, and Japanese stick only, because SBO is only a Japanese stick tournament. So
Oh.
so that was the only rule. But they did have a Korean stick cabinet there to accommodate for the Korean players when we finally got there. But we'll get into that, I guess.
Wow. No
Yeah.
American pad
But
station.
you guys
Nope.
didn't play on stick back then?
I was a pad player, and Chet was a pad player for like 20
Yeah.
years already at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
Okay.
and Rip as well was also a pad player. So we all knew about these qualifiers, so we all started playing stick. And this is
Yeah.
like what all started getting us playing on stick, honestly.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say I ran to Chet Chetty like a long time ago, but he was on stick. But that's amazing. That's the story behind that.
That's what made us all start playing on stick, was because these SPO qualifiers, that was the rule. You had to play on stick, and it's just like, fuck, we're not gonna not try because we are forced to play on stick. It's like, sure, it's
How
not
much
our
time
main
did you
Yeah.
have to learn stick and between the time from you learning and actually playing at SBO?
We probably had like more than 3 months for sure. Yeah, like
Yeah.
maybe like 5-6 months, somewhere around there.
That's
That was
plenty of
enough?
time. No,
Yeah.
that's plenty of time for sure. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It took me like a year before I actually got, comfortable on the stick.
Yeah, we definitely knew about the quals. It was probably even longer that we knew. So it's like,
Oh, okay. See, at
it's
least
like
you guys are
something that
aware.
we knew about it for sure. It's like we always knew that was the rule because it was something that happened every year, and it was the qualifier spots was like they gave, I think, 2 to America, 2 to Europe, and it's just like you could only go to Japan if you won the qualifiers, right? So it's like that was the only way. And then we ended up taking it after being sent to losers round 1 of that tournament.
Who was
You
the
guys
other
won it,
American team
too?
that qualified?
The other team, I think they did it differently for the East Coast. Instead of actually letting you pick your actual team that you're going with, they held 3 separate single man tournament instead. So it wasn't a 3v3, so you weren't playing with your team. It was just like each person that won a tournament gets to go. And then
Nice.
Jimmy, because he didn't win in the NorCal one on the West Coast, he went there and won the first one, and then I think it was Spiral and Bloodhawk that won the other 2.
Wow.
Mm.
Okay. That's
So
amazing lore.
Yeah, that's like my first time meeting all those guys. Yeah, all those guys. But then that was also the first time too. It's like, who the fuck is this MYK guy? Like first year of playing, like,
Yeah.
dude.
That's
Like,
pretty impressive, man.
And then we won SBO quals, and then it was crazy too because like in the grand final set, dude, oh my god. Chet went up first because he was like the worst on pad, right?
Wait,
He was-
is this in Japan, right?
No, this is the grand finals in for the qualifiers. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, continue.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's SoCal versus NorCal, but it wasn't Jimmy and Bronson's team. I think we knocked them out earlier in the tournament. In the loser side. Like when for some reason, whenever Bronson and Jimmy team up together, they just don't work. It's just like negative synergy. It's just like they're so
That's why you talk
strong.
shit to him.
Yeah, they're so strong on their own, but whenever they team up, they drastically go down. I don't know why. I don't know why. But then so it was 725, Q Dog, and blanking on the last. Oh yeah, 3ZX, Heihachi, Yoshi. Oh, Heihachi, Eddie, and who's the other guy?
X is the Heihachi player, right?
Yeah, and Steve, 725. Yeah, 725 Steve. Yeah. So Chet went up first, he loses, and we're coming from losers, right? So Chet loses, and then I go up, I end up losing, but it was mad close. I think it was against Q Dog. It was a scenario that I didn't know about where he could bait out Sonic Fang or like Eddie standing for it. Something with those 2 moves, right? It's something with those 2
Like the
moves.
opponent just won't reach or something like that, right? It's one
Yeah.
of those things.
Mhm. And then he knew and I didn't know, and he got me. And then Kane was the last one on our team, and he had to reverse OCV for us to stay alive. And I'm thinking we're fucking done. We're fucking dead. But then luckily, the one rule with the Japanese stick was that you could still use your own custom Japanese stick. And Kane borrowed Sukin's Japanese stick because he said that Sukin always adjusted his Japanese stick and stuff, like messed around with the springs, changed a couple things here and there to make it feel different. And Kane was like, dude, your Japanese stick actually feels the closest to my K lever. And Kane was a K lever user at the time. And then he was just like, dude, he got the reverse OCV with the fucking devil shit. And then at the end, in the reset, Chet and myself, we closed it out. And that was it. And then I just remember calling my parents, like, dude, I'm going to Japan. They were like, what? What the fuck? You're going to Japan? Like, dude, and that was like my first trip to Japan. Got to see Togeki, the whole stadium, all that stuff. That
Dude, that's
Okay,
so
hold on.
sick.
So how old are you? How old are you at this point?
I was 18.
Holy
Okay,
shit,
so
dude.
so I guess let's just take apart what you just said. How did your parents feel about you playing competitive fighting games
Oh,
at
they
that
were hella
time?
not supportive.
Oh, okay. Talk about that a little bit.
They were never supportive. They were just like, stop wasting your time with this. There's never gonna be anything with this, but I don't know. It's been fun. It's been a wild ride.
I'm so happy that eventually they at least didn't sabotage whatever you doing it because I'm happy that you're in the scene like that. But
Yeah.
that's amazing. So you went to Japan,
Dude,
going
yeah.
to, going to Japan as like a fighting game player or anyone who's related to like any interest in Japan seems like such a dream. What was it like going to Japan for the first time? Talk about the flight. When you first landed there. What did the air smell like? Talk about it all.
Dude, it was a fucking dream come true. Like everything, man. Everything.
How long were you there
Oh,
for? It was just for the
we were
tournament?
there for 2 weeks. We ended up staying there for 2 weeks. So the tournament was for the flight. Everything else we had to like figure out. But
Right.
luckily, the first week we just I think got like a hotel all together. And the second week we actually went to Osaka. And then there was a Tekken player at the time that Chet was close to. His name is Mirai, and he took us around. Yeah, so big shout outs to Mirai, and he
Oh,
let
he
us
had a
stay at his
guide.
pad. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And then we got to check out like where Asuka in the Tekken 5 intro where she jumps off the building with her bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to see like all that shit too.
You
That's
saw
so
the
sick.
building, or you
Yeah, we
saw
got
the
to see the
CGI?
building. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it was
amazing.
cool. It was mad cool, man. And then
That's so
also
cool.
the dopest part about going there for SBO was that we got to meet all the players from all the different parts of the world. So I got to meet Ryan Hart for the first time. I got to meet
Wow.
Chris. I got to meet Australian Tekken players. I got to meet the Koreans as well. And this is also at the time where Nin was the Tekken 5.0 champion. And then he was like super big at the time, right? And he's a Steve player. And I looked up to him, right? And I got to meet
Wow.
Nin for the first time. I remember like playing against a bunch of legends in the arcade too, like Main
That's
Street
so sick.
Ryu,
It was like a
freaking
world tournament. It was like the world tournament of
yeah,
Dragon Ball. Like
exactly.
small
Nane's
You're
the reason
people.
why I picked Steve.
and I got to play against Nin. And you know what's the craziest part? My very first match was against Nin in a Steve mirror, and I beat him. And I beat him, and then he
Wow.
switched to Fang, and then he destroyed me. And I was just like, well, why though? Give me the Steve, man. Give me the Steve.
Dude, it's just Steve versus Steve. It's such a I mean,
It's toxic.
dude.
I know.
It's toxic because like you both have a punch parry.
Yeah.
Yeah, all you're gonna do is throw a punch. Like
Yeah.
that makes sense why I went to Fang. Fang is one of those matches that pisses me off. Like I go
Oh, it's
Josie and they
annoying
go
for
Fang.
sure. Yeah.
Like that's what I do. Go ahead and do it low.
Yeah, we're playing rock paper scissors Tekken now in 7 for sure. But yeah, dude, like, oh my god, Tech, like all that stuff happening for me in the first year was honestly crazy. Like 3 months, I won my first local. A couple months later, I get fifth at Evo West, and then I didn't even say like during the actual Evo, I ended up getting ninth. I was just
Yeah.
I was just outside of eighth. Like,
So I feel like you're like the worst person to have on our podcast because we tell people that it's like slow building up to
but then
results. You just
honestly,
fucking
honestly,
got
it's the
so far.
teacher. It's the teacher and
For sure.
fixing your problems. If you just keep doing the same, like that's the thing I wanted to say too. Like during the Tekken 6 era, I've seen so many new players come and go because they just, like they do the same thing for like 2, 3 years, and they're just like, man, I'm not getting better. I'm not this and that. It's just like it's hard to enjoy the game if you're not winning, but also at the same time, you got to find that balance too, right? Where you don't want to just grind and just,
Yeah.
burn out, because
Okay,
burnout's a real thing for sure.
so for you, you were just hanging out at your friend's garage playing on PSP, grinding. When did you care about winning in tournament? I'm sure at this point you were just having fun. But
Yeah.
when was the point that you were just like, hey, winning is really important to me? It couldn't have been at the start. right?
I don't think it was ever really that important. It was
That's
honestly,
amazing.
I think honestly the best mindset. Like I think later in like when I started getting a rival, I think that's when I started like man, dude, like with Sukin and I, we used to hate each other in Tekken.
Really?
We started around the same time in Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection, and he was always a lay player, and I was a Jin main at first, then I went to Armor King, and then I went to Steve, right? After seeing Tekken 10 play him at a 3v3 tournament, I was just like, dude, the way he just weaves around everything and can duck too, and like that shit just looks so
Yeah.
cool, right? So I started playing Steve after that. And then like Sukin and I started becoming rivals, right? And Steve didn't have any, and then Play Dead in Tekken 5 was way faster. And it wasn't the Play Dead that we have now where he poses on the ground. It's the
Right.
same animation as he would as like a normal knockdown, face up, feet towards. He wouldn't be posing, so it would be even harder to hit him. So and Steve only had down back 2 or down back 3 to hit him grounded. Down 1+2 wouldn't come out fast enough.
4-4-2 didn't work.
No,
Oh fuck that!
it doesn't hit
Fuck.
ground.
I know it doesn't hit ground now, but I'm yeah. If it's exactly the way a knockdown works right now, then
Yeah.
it doesn't. That's so
And
annoying.
it was 4-4 neutral 2 back then too. So
Oh damn.
yeah,
Oh, my
and so
God.
like Sukin would just play dead into mid launch, and the launch was safe. So and it was way faster back then. And I'm like, bro, this is so scrubby. Like,
Dude,
bro.
Sukin cock blocked me from winning. My like the closest I got to winning a WNF was going
Wow.
up against Sukin, and I put him in losers. I was in grand finals that day. I don't know what happened that day. I don't know what I drank, but for some reason I wasn't even trying to really win. I just went up there to take my friend who had never been there.
Mm.
He was gonna go off to the military, so I took him up there, and he's like, "All right, dude, I'm ready to go." I'm like, "Oh, I'm still in tournament. Just let me lose, and then we'll head out." And I ended up making it to grand finals, winner side, and I put him in losers, and I'm like, I hope Avery beats him, dude, because I don't want to play against Sukin. I don't think he knows that I
Yeah.
do not really know that matchup. Like I know how
Who
to
wants to
beat
play
maybe.
against a lay? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like maybe I can beat Sukin, but I don't know if I can beat Sukin with Lei if he's aware that I don't know enough of his
Yeah,
character,
exactly, right? Yeah.
And then
That's
dude,
he's gonna
oh
have a
man,
field day.
he ended up beating Avery, so I was like, fuck, and then and he found out on the reset, like this guy does not know how to break these throws and shit, and
Oh
I don't
shit.
know what it was. It was like one of those weird reverse fucking
Oh
Panther shit,
no.
and there's a throw, and he just kept doing it, and I'm like, how the fuck do you break this shit in my head? Right, and then at the end of it, he beat me with that throw, and then he like leans over, he's like, that's a 2 break, dog. I'm like, I don't fucking know, dude. I don't even know what you're doing. This character, like when he gets into those stances, I don't even know what to do. I'm like, you think my warrior was that throw? Like, there's all this other shit that he's
Yeah, I
doing,
know. There's like
and then
50
the throw
moves I'm
comes
worried
out.
about.
It's like,
Yep.
like fuck, like the throw is like the least of my worries, but he just wanted to make it, clear that you got to break this with 2. I'm like, whatever, man. Like, GG. Like I was pretty salty, but I was like, okay, I need a lab lay. Even when I do, it's still like everyone
Yeah.
plays lay so differently. Like the way
Yep.
Yoshi players play
You're
differently.
not gonna block every lay player's rave spin. And I
No.
feel like rave spin carries lay players, but we're not gonna talk about
Yeah,
that.
dude. I get so frustrated at that character, but GG Suzuki, dude.
So T6, you and Sukin are going at it.
It was like it started in DR, and that's when we like really hated each other. And then like
what's the most memorable grudge match you guys ever had? What happened?
we never really had like grudge matches. We used to just
Or I'm
always
just saying, like a match that you guys had where you were pissed off after, or he was pissed off after.
oh
What's the
every
most
single
memorable
one.
match?
So was it you hating him because of his character and his play style? Was that like kind
Yeah.
of okay? That makes sense because
Motherfucker just wouldn't play neutral. All he did was play dead into safe
Yeah.
mid launcher. I'm like, you sack of I'm like, bro. And then back turn down 1 is a safe launcher too, unless you low parry it. I'm like, you are a freaking scumbag with this character.
just a playstyle that made you really hate him. That's funny, dude. Because I can totally like see that happening. That character can really just piss you off, dude.
And then I can't hit him grounded either. And I'm just like, bro, I have to call it out with down back 2, like before you go into grounded.
To read
Like,
that, like who the fuck reads with down back 2s?
yeah.
Wasn't down back 2 also a lot
minus
riskier
15?
back then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. Fuck that.
Did we talk about who won the SBO or who was that?
SBO, I think either Korea or Japan won that year. I think Japan might have won that year.
How'd your guys' run go?
Our run, I mean, that's the infamous thing about America's winning the qualifier, and then they go to Japan, and then they all lose round one. Yeah, that was us too.
That's awesome. That's pretty tight.
Oh,
If
you
you get to
know,
go out to Japan, like
Yeah, no,
that
how's
alone is a
Japan?
win. You
Yeah,
know, like the
forget that. How's
tournament's extra.
Japan?
You got to go to Japan for 2 weeks, and someone's actually guiding you through.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
That's pretty
second
dope.
week, that shit was tight.
What was the
So,
most memorable thing that happened in Japan the whole time we were there before we get off that?
dude, just playing Tekken every day, the food, the culture, just like breathing all that shit in was like the best. The best, like, and it's just like there's no litter anywhere, and it's just like at the same time there's no trash cans anywhere either. So it's like you get a drink at a vending machine. I'm just like, where do they dump this shit? I'm about to throw this shit on the floor, but it's just like it's so nice. I don't want to. It's just like the train system. Just like wake up, eat some bomb ass Japanese food. Go play Tekken for like 12 hours, go eat some Japanese food, get drunk, go to sleep, do it again. It's just like
I don't know
Oh,
when
yeah.
I'm gonna go to Japan, but I know that's like something I have to do. You know, like
and,
I
and
need
the
to go
crazy
to
part, you could just drink in public. It's just like acceptable there. It's just like
Vegas.
yeah, it's crazy. It's honestly so much fun. Like every time I've been to Japan, it's never not been fun.
Right. That's so stupid.
But then it's a little different now, I think, because it's just like arcades are closing down. I just saw another one, the Club Sega, the biggest one in Ikebukuro, closed down today. I'm just like, damn, that sucks, man. That shit
And
sucks.
what are they
Yeah.
replacing it with anything? Like like you see a lot of like places
Round
open up like
ones and
esport
shit,
type
yeah.
shit where they just have like a bunch of different games. The way you guys have the esports arena, but I've seen like they do that all over like the country.
Yeah,
You know?
Red Bull Sphere and stuff like in
Yeah.
Japan
Are
as
they doing
well.
that? Oh, so they're doing those things?
I
I
think
feel like
so, but I'm not
like the
sure.
future
Like,
of it, right?
yeah, that is the future, but like there's something lost there for sure with not having arcades because
Yeah.
that was kind of like the specialty of going to Japan back then is to play the Japanese players in arcades, but then it started
Right.
changing ever since I think Tag 2, maybe even I think it was Tag 2 because like ever since Tag 2, they let you play online in the arcade. So it's just
Really?
like you don't even play the dude that you're sitting across from. That was
That was a
honestly
Tag 2 thing? I thought that was a T7 thing for arcade.
I think it was Tag 2 as well, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So, because I used to watch a lot of Tag 2 like videos of Green what's it called? Greenland or Green Arcade in Korea.
Yeah,
And
they always played, like, offline
yeah,
in,
so
like,
also that okay,
arcade.
that was an option. I heard in T7 like you would just play online like I don't think there was there an option to actually do it in for
I
T7 on an arcade as well?
I think for T7, they made it, like, you have to be online, for
Yeah.
sure. Because
That's
I
pretty
think
cool.
I remember hearing vaguely about, like, one Japanese arcade putting the arcade cabinets offline, and then I remember hearing, like, good news about, like, "Damn, Tekken 7 never felt so good," and just shit like that, but it's like I think it was all because they were trying to optimize for, like, console or some shit,
Yeah,
Just,
I
like,
I would
preparing
think
for
like
console.
maybe since arcades are dying, like there's just not gonna they're trying to I guess connect all the players that are in arcades. Maybe that's one of the
Yeah.
things that they had in mind that they just want to at least keep the scene active for as long as it can. And
Yeah, and it's also, like, something they've been doing with because the Banner Pass isn't just for Tekken, it's like they had it for,
yeah,
like, Gundam games and the Dragon Ball
Initial
games and,
D.
like yeah, yeah, everything, so it's just like I think they were just trying to, like, make everything unified or some shit, but
yeah,
it kinda gets kinda kills the whole arcade thing with that, and, like,
right.
Korea lost Green Arcade, like, it's happening everywhere, like, console
That
definitely
that one
Yeah.
sucked when they lost Screen Arcade because I feel like that's where that's one of the things that I used to learn Tag 2. I would just watch them play like crazy and just
Yeah,
dissect the videos. I'm like, same goes for the
dude.
Japanese videos. I would just
I
watch them
used
like
to do
crazy.
that since Tekken 5, man.
Yeah,
Like
and it's so good because you get to see all this crazy shit that you don't see in like players here do, and it's
exactly.
like it's that sucks that it's gone. But everyone's made the transition to online, and
Mhm.
like I feel like for when I watch like the Korean players play online, like it looks like they still like it looks good. It looks like they don't have like the big connection issues, but I'm sure it's not the same. Like
Yeah.
you're not around all these other players. Like you're not
Mhm.
the guys like right across from the other cabinet from you that you get to at least like hear them like
Definitely
press buttons or
an
say shit.
era that's gone for sure. Yeah, and
Yeah.
go out and eat and, like, talk about the game and just, like, do
Yeah.
stupid shit together. Like that was how like everybody. Yeah, and that's like that's kind of what's missing. That's
Yeah,
definitely what's
and
missing.
at least you got to experience it, like, I didn't get
Yeah.
to be a part of that. Like, the only arcades I was a part of were, these arcades in TJ that just had fucking, all the games that the Mexicans played, like fucking KOF, and,
Damn.
that's all you had. It's like, there wasn't really any variety. It was just catered to those guys, and there wasn't really,
It
like, an
is.
arcade,
Damn,
Never
I used to hear about legends like that in my
Yeah.
arcade at Super, and it's like, dude, I heard Mexicans only play KOF, and I guess it is true.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I was literally, like, in my neighborhood, one
Yeah,
would open up, like, "Oh, cool, an arcade," and it's like, just KOF and PCs everywhere, like, there's
right.
it's just that's all it was, and
Mhm.
but I didn't really get to experience an actual arcade, like a Tekken arcade. I just, I just watched it online on YouTube. That's all the only experience I got from it,
Dude, and 6 was so good. That was like the last like real big arcade era for SoCal, I felt.
Yeah.
And we haven't really been the same since. Because like Tag 2, yeah, we had arcade, but it wasn't the same in Tag 2. Like 6 is like when we really, I think all of us that got good in 6 is like it's still stuck around till now. It's like everybody got good from 6. And
Okay, so before we get to Tag 2, or I know you're talking about Sticks Arcade,
mm,
but what was it like with Tekken 6 winding down?
At the beginning, it was 6.0. That game was broken as shit. And I think like a year later, like in 6.0, though, it was mostly like Eris won the first local that we ever had with Dragunov. Running 2 used to launch on normal hit.
Oh, yeah, I've heard.
Man. And then Tensai Kun, I think, won the second local with Zafina. And then yeah, so it was kind of like those were like the two guys that were really giving everybody problems. And then I think it might have been me with my cheap ass vanilla 6.0 Bob and Kane. Yeah, so it was like
Wow.
Kane and myself for like the biggest portion of Tekken 6, at least locally, we were pretty dominant, I felt. Yeah, in Tekken 6 in SoCal. And yeah, Kane was a Lily player at the time. He kind of moved away. Yeah, I know. He moved away from Mishima's to go to Lily, his waifu, and he hasn't left her since. And
Yeah.
yeah, he's been a
Yeah.
monster with Lily ever since. And then like Kane was definitely like my biggest tournament nemesis because like he was just so hard to beat. Like there was times I can beat him, but it was always like me and Kane grand finals. And then in the middle of like after Tekken 6 Bloodline Rebellion came out, it would be Just Frame James that's really started improving at that time.
Was he
And
playing Law back then?
yeah, and this is at the time where he started really taking advantage of like the cheap shit that Law had in second Tekken 6 BR with the auto parries. Like you could 4-3 for Law used to jail. And if you ducked it off of a read on the 4-3, he could DSS, he's gonna do it anyways. And
Yeah.
even if while standing 11 frame, it would parry and he could get wall
What do you do?
splat.
Hello?
You have to do a low or you do nothing.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was fun times.
One
Oh,
time Kane, he came out to San Diego and he stayed out here for a couple of weeks and I got to play with him and
mm,
all I heard was him just talking about like the T6 days of his character and everything because he's
uh,
playing, he doesn't like Lily, at least, and now Lily's buff, but like in season 2 and I think 3 she was whatever, right? She wasn't that exciting, and he was just like, dude, back then you don't even know, but back in T6 like this would do that and this was a combo and now it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I'm just saying. And then he would remember when Nee won that tournament with Lily.
yeah.
And he's like, you want to know something about that tournament? And then he put it on the TV, and he just started dissecting everything,
Yeah,
that
I
he was
know.
doing with
I
the
know.
character. He's like, people are saying that she's
Lily
good. It's like,
Lily is his life, so it's
yeah. And
like
he wrote down everything, and
dude,
I'll just listen
he's
to
been
him.
saying that since 6 too. He would be winning like a lot of the locals, and then at the end of the tournament, he gets his prize money. After like, this is all of our money, right? That we pitched into the pot, and he's just like, Lily sucks. He's like,
Yeah, dude, he broke down everything of that tournament. And I was like, all right, Kane, I I never said she was good either. You know, like I don't know what you're trying to convince her, but just try to. Because everyone kept saying that Lily's broken and everything just because Knee played her. But I'm like, no, that's just Knee, dude. Like that's all it was. But it was just funny how
6.0,
passionate.
Lily had sidestep 1+2, which is like a safe mid, like kind of evasive, like mid chop, right? That she does. And then on counter hit, it gave free Matterhorn.
Oh,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
No wonder he
Especially
misses that.
safe.
Yeah.
now
I
it
know.
knocks down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No wonder he misses that character.
Yeah,
So
That's-
okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ian.
No, I was just gonna mention like that's when this game when T7 came out, I did not like look at the game at all until it was actually like in my hands in console because I did not want to get attached to my character, you know, changing from the release date to
Yeah,
on
that
console.
happens.
So
Yeah,
I
that
just
sucks.
stopped looking at the game, and then I was never one of those players. Like, oh, Kazi used to have this, or King could do that, and you know, like I didn't want to be a part of that, but that's because I didn't have I couldn't actually play the game, so I'm like, why even bother, right? Like I kept away from it until it actually came out.
I think a lot of people are too stuck on that
Yeah,
instead of playing the game.
yeah. No, there's no reason for it. I mean, if they don't do that, the game's just gonna stay stale, right? Like if they don't change characters and stuff that are just being abused, like it's not gonna be fun. Like remember when JDCR and Saint were winning everything?
Yeah.
Like people eventually were like, oh, this is grand finals again. Like it's always
Yeah.
Dragunov, it's always Jack. It's like that's why they had to just get rid of Dragunov for a while, you know, a couple months. But I think it's I don't know. I'm not really against it, but that's just like the era that I grew up in. Just everything just you get like an update on the game and they change the meta of the game, and that's just what I'm used to. But
Right.
Okay, so MYK for Tekken 6, once that winded down, what was it like? I guess so. You're feeling pretty good. How did you feel once Tekken Tag 2 was announced? Because as someone who started in Tekken 7, seeing Tekken Tag 2, it does not interest me at all. I don't want to play it. I want nothing to do with it. It seems too complicated. But how did it feel as someone who's playing a 1v1 fighter like Tekken 6 and started with DR to see that Tag 2 was announced? What was your initial thoughts?
Let me clear my throat first.
go ahead.
I appreciate you for putting the podcast on your back right now. So keep going.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, I enjoyed Tag 2, but it was definitely like after like playing it competitively for a little while. Like Tag 2, I wasn't that active. Like I was like focusing on like life stuff.
Yeah.
So
What
like
was the life stuff? What were you focusing on at the time?
just like school, jobs, stuff like that. I was going to school for criminal justice, but I ended up not finishing either. So don't take my
Okay.
advice. Finish school, guys.
Okay, for sure.
It's never too late, dude.
Yeah, it's never too late.
Never too late.
So
Do
Tag
it
2
if
wasn't
it's for
really
you.
that interesting for you?
Tag 2 was fun, but then like I think playing it competitively, I didn't enjoy as much. Even though like I felt like I just wanted to play it more. I felt like I never got to play it enough in tournament. Because I played it at like a couple locals and like maybe SCR for like a major or two, and that's pretty much about it. I didn't really like travel too much during Tag 2 times.
Because I remember back then, like coming back to the whole ATP Live podcast, like you were one of the you were like one of like the main members of that podcast, right? And
Right.
I'd always see you.
No,
you
I
know,
was
doing
only on
that.
one episode actually.
Really? I thought you were always on that. No, I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm
No,
thinking
it
of
was
someone else.
mostly like
I thought you were always on that, or maybe I'm confusing you with Rip's morning bread and butter. You're always on that one, right?
No, MYK, you're tripping. You were on
Yeah,
for more than one episode of ATV podcast, the old one.
I think I might. I think it's probably two tops, but yeah.
Well, either way, well, you're a part of you were part of the morning bread and butter, pretty like a couple episodes, right? Like I used to always see you on that
Oh
one.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I
so that's why I was
definitely
surprised you didn't play the game so much because you were kind of like the intel guy on that.
Yeah,
on that.
we did a bunch of those. I think that's the one game that we went into like super heavy. We almost covered all the characters. I think we
Yeah.
had maybe 10 or less characters to cover by the end of it. But we were just like, dude, it's we've been doing this for so long.
Dude,
Yeah,
it's hard, but I thought it was fun. Like I thought it was pretty cool because you guys are doing all the hard work. You know, like oh, this is his punishment moves for this character, and this 13 frame and 14 frame are this, and you would go through like all that stuff, and then
Yeah, Tekken
you had
6 is what
combos.
started all that. Like that's when we started the whole tutorial series and all that from Tekken 6, and then we got into Tag 2, and then yeah, we used to just film it at like an office building back in the day. And we used to like people didn't even know like how long those episodes took to film. Like we used to go there at like maybe 7, 8 p.m. and then get out by like 5 a.m., 6 a.m.
What? Really? Why is that?
Because you know what was fucked up about starting a tutorial series, and then we were just like, "Hey, just do down one, just do down forward two, or just do blah
Yeah.
blah blah." It's just like, how the fuck are we gonna tell them how to do down forward two if they don't even know what down forward two means? You know, it's just like
Yeah.
we realized that, and then the first episode we had to do like a beginner episode, right, where we just taught notations, mechanics, like how to
Yeah.
get up, and like that shit took way longer than expected. And usually all the episodes took way longer than expected. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Like I mean, before that, like who was really making tutorials? Like were you guys like the
I think
first ones?
I think for Tekken, we kind of were like the first ones, yeah. And then after that, like Tekken Tag 2, luckily we had practice mode online. So we were just like, shit, we could just do them online now. So then we started doing the Morning Bread and Butter series, and we started covering like most of the characters. And
Yeah.
then yeah, we started bringing on like guest appearances too. I mean, we did that in 6 as well. But yeah, we did that just for like more in-depth analysis on certain other characters. Yeah, and we just did that for a bunch of characters. But yeah, like around Tag 2, I just kind of stayed local and I didn't really play too much. But I really wish I had, because I feel like I didn't get to play that game enough. And I was playing that shit. I was playing a fucking cheap ass team.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like, I mean, you look at players like Just Frame James. That dude was finding out some crazy shit in that game. I feel like you were gonna be one of those players that just knew a bunch of like weird tech, but I didn't know you were like not like really playing that game so much. But
I mean,
uh,
I was doing pretty good against the local competition and stuff, and these guys
yeah,
were doing pretty good elsewhere. So I'm just like, damn,
yeah,
I got to travel more for it.
yeah. So we fast forward now. I mean, the like, what do you do outside of like? I know you do the boomcast, but I don't really know the schedule of that thing. I'm assuming you guys just do that whenever like something pops up, right? Like something
Pretty
interesting.
much, yeah. That's pretty
Yeah.
much when we do it.
Yeah, and part of the reason why we even wanted to do a podcast was because like I know ATP Live, like you're connected to that because I heard Eris once I mentioned that you kind of had the idea for a podcast,
Oh
right?
yeah,
He
it kind of started from there was a website back in the day called IamTekken.com, and I was just like, because Gutex at the time had his own podcast for like Street Fighter, and I kind of wanted to do like something for Tekken, right? And I was just like, how come there's nothing for Tekken? So
right.
I kind of just created a podcast series back then on that website, IamTekken.com, and then that kind of spawned into Avoiding the Puddle, and yeah, the first couple episodes of Avoiding the Puddle is actually on that website.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So you do the boomcast now, and like I feel like people just a lot of people know you for doing commentary, right? You're like one of the staple like commentators, especially for like any like SoCal event. Like what? How did you even get into that? Like into doing commentary? Like where did that even begin?
I mean, I guess I kind of did stuff like locally, just here and there, just like casually and stuff. I was never really like super into the professional side of it.
Right.
Uh, but I remember like I did like MLG once with Rip at one of the events. So I've always kind of done events here and there, but I think it was NTR 2018, right? They asked me if I wanted to commentate the top 8 for that. And I was just like, "Well, this kind of came out of nowhere, and I don't even know how I got the opportunity. Maybe it's from the local tournaments I commentated." And then yeah, so it was, I think Team Spooky was holding it down. And yeah, they asked me to do commentary for the top 8. And then it was originally supposed to be with Markman, but then I felt a little uncomfortable because I never commentated with Markman. So I asked if I could do it with Ricky instead. And then
Right.
Markman, yeah, I brought it up to Markman. He was cool with it. So yeah, blessed be to Markman. He let me do it with Ricky. And then I was hella nervous the first time commentating like a major event like that. Because I was just
Right.
like, Ricky, like the first time you're going into a commentary set, it's like, who wants to bring us in, right? And I'll just,
Mhm.
And I was too nervous. I was just like telling Ricky because it was held in Sacramento, and it's a freaking like bunghole of a city, right? Like, who cares
Yeah.
about Sacramento, right? Everybody was talking about that all weekend too. Everybody that traveled from out of state too. It's just like, man, this area has nothing. This is downtown Sacramento. Shit is
Yep.
absolutely nothing. And then yeah, I was just like, I just wanted to start off the set with welcome to the beautiful city of Sacramento, and just kind of like give a look to the camera, like all
Yeah.
sarcasm and shit. But I was too
Yeah.
nervous to say that. But I told Ricky I wanted to say that. And then Ricky ends up saying the line. He was just like, welcome to the beautiful city of Sacramento. And then all I did was look into the camera, and I was just like, beautiful.
That's so good.
I was just like, okay, I just need to get one word out and I'll be good.
Yeah.
And that was
Just
it.
to get going, right? That's all you need. Just something
Yeah,
to
I was
get
just
going.
like, I just need to say something. I just need to say
Yeah.
one word. And
Dude,
that was
awesome.
it. And then after that, that commentary set went really well. And then I guess everything else kind of just opened up after that. Like, I got to do Evo that year as well. And then like the whole Majin set happened that
Dude,
year.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was
That
the
was
year.
awesome.
Like, that's one of the most memorable Evo experiences that I have. Watching that Majin run, that whole
Dude,
night, that
that
whole
was
night was
crazy.
insane. But
Yeah, like
watching
every time
him,
I see Majin in person too, he's just like, dude, thank you for the amazing commentary. That day, I'm like, bro, thank you for the amazing
dude,
play, man. Like,
yeah, like I
dude,
watched it back so many times. I'm like, holy shit, like it's so hyped. Like you bring so much hype to the commentary, and it
Yeah.
makes it like that much more exciting. But even just that, like that whole set alone, like it's good enough as it is. But just having good commentators, like I don't see any new like generation of fighting game players. Like I don't really see anyone that's that can really like match up to you guys yet. Like I don't really see many new commentators. I don't know, like after you guys, if you guys ever stop, like who the hell's gonna take you guys' spots, right? Like we don't really have many new commentators, and
yeah, this is stuff that like we talk about all the time too. It's just like it's kind of a weird spot in this day and age because it's just
yeah,
like you kind of have to like you could like the best part about being a commentator is still being able to play because like we still want to
yeah,
play too. It's like but
Yeah.
sometimes we have to give up the play to take the commentary work, but it's also at the same time too like this day and age it's just like I don't know if it's like taboo to talk about, but there's a lot of like mic vultures that don't really know the game that just try to like
yeah.
jump on for like I don't know for clout or whatever, but it's just like
You
I
can
think
tell right away
yeah,
too.
exactly. That's the thing. It's
I
just
know that there's a mute
Yeah.
button, but like
Yeah.
it
So
just sucks.
my favorite thing about you, MYK, is when I listen to the IF, the International Fight Club, or the
yeah,
Intercontinental
ICFC.
Fight Club.
Continental Fight
Mhm.
Club.
Yeah. So last week I was listening to it and I was in chat. My favorite thing about you is I don't know if you've ever been to a TTF. You sound like that dude at TTF who's standing behind someone's set screaming at the shit that's going on at their set. You're like, and like they're just doing lows, but like one of them works. And
Yeah.
that's like who you are. And when I watch like sets that you commentate, I fucking laugh my ass off because I'm on the edge of my seat, like, oh my god, how is this allowed? Like, your commentary is so good. It embodies
The
offline Tekken
fight, yeah,
experience.
yeah, the fighting
How,
game spirit, and like I
yeah.
hope I could bring that onto the mic
How
because
so? How'd you
that's
get
what I
to
try
that?
to do that.
How'd you
Uh,
get to that? Were you just like, oh, this is what it was like when I watched people offline when I played back in the day? This is
a
how
lot
I'll
of it,
commentate.
a lot of it is just like I'm trying to think what I'm thinking if I'm in that player's shoes and try to put it out verbally, right? And the other thing is just like I was just trying to make it fun with like a lot of inspiration from like the SBO commentators. Like that's where the double Luigi comes from. It was double Luigi back in the day,
That's
right?
the
And then
funniest, stupidest shit I ever. I love Double Luigi. We say that in San Diego. We'll
yeah, and it's
say
just
Double
like I
Luigi
don't
down the
even know
city.
how that started. It was honestly from that NCR. I was saying double richi, right? And that just means double reach, and that's like a
Yeah.
mahjong term, right?
I
It
think it
just
was Aris. I want to say it was Aris because Aris said Double Luigi, but maybe it wasn't. I
no, no,
forget.
no. It was
I thought
somebody
you
in the
said that.
chat. No, it was me that said it because somebody in that chat from that tournament says like he sounds like he's saying double Luigi. I still to this day
Yeah.
haven't figured out who said that in the chat, but ever since they brought that up to me, I was like, fuck it, I'll say double Luigi, I guess.
So good.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. Like all that
So
stuff, and
is
all
that what
like
it is?
the
Is it the offline like experience of people yelling? Is that what
That's
What
part of it for
influenced
sure.
your
It's all of it.
commentary?
It's
Yeah.
everything, man. Like the
Yeah.
whole fighting game culture, man. And also like it's the fighting game culture. It's also me trying to put myself in the player's shoes. It's like I'm internally fucking screaming right now. I have 15% left, and they have. I use my rage. They have their rage. I'm shitting bricks right now. You know, it's just
Yeah,
like
you make the viewers feel like that same way. You know, like when you get those two players with no health and they both have rage, or Paul has that rage
yeah,
death list, like you can tell that everyone's getting like a little bit nervous and tense. You know, like, and you guys have a
mhm.
lot of synergy too. You know, that team of you, Rip, Sukin, and Rixa, like you guys all have like that synergy, and you can tell that you all like feed off of each other. You know, like
Oh,
you guys
definitely.
all like
Yeah.
just get in that same character, and just it's so fun to watch. It's so funny to watch, man. But that's one of the things that's one of the things that's kind of keeping like the Tekken scene active right now. Just watching these ICF tournaments, like, because
Yeah.
outside of that, like what we really wouldn't have much going on right now, right? Like if you
Dude,
just
and
wait
it's
for Tekken
Nothing.
news, like what's going on? Like nothing, right? It's just
Nothing.
we're
yeah,
waiting
it's been
on.
so quiet. It's actually like I'm like, dude, is it gonna be big? Like, why have they been? I
Yeah,
don't think they've said anything since like November last year, right? Like,
yeah,
Yeah, I think the speculation is that they had something announced with COVID, and the success of Tekken 7 is let them just keep writing this.
yeah.
But
So I'm assuming they're gonna say something at this Evo event coming
yeah,
up,
that's
right?
what everybody's speculating.
Yeah. And are you guys like involved in doing commentary for that at all or anything? Like, do you know anything about that?
I think Rip and Steve might be, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not 100%
Yeah,
confirmed
I
on
heard
that.
that's being held at the Apex, like the UFC Apex Center, right?
Yo,
sure.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I'm
heard of
not
that.
sure. Yeah, I'm not
And
sure.
and you're just doing volunteering for Tenno Media, right? Is what it is, that you're just one of their commentators.
Yeah, we're definitely like commentators on their thing.
That's awesome. Okay, so I guess not to wrap it up too much, but Tekken 7, what do you think for the future of Tekken 7? I mean, we're not going to get too much into it. If you want to know what people think, the real people think about Tekken 7's future, listen to the Boomcast, the latest Boomcast episode.
Oh
We have
yeah, that was a good
Eris.
one. Yeah,
That was an amazing episode. We listened to a lot what you guys thought about the
yeah,
future of Tekken.
we kind of go over like a little bit of like past, present, and future. I think that was like the theme of that episode, and we try to like discuss like a lot of the things about it. I mean, we definitely missed a couple topics here and there, but I think we got a lot of good ones out of the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the most insightful thing you guys said was no arcade version because you guys thought that would be tone deaf. And do you feel
Yeah.
that way
Oh
as well?
fuck yeah. Oh, of course. Of course. Like as sad as it is, and like as much as we talked about like how great it was in arcade dates, it's an era gone. You know,
Yeah, the
it's
internet
not
era.
the same time anymore. You know, it's like you can't have a $30,000 freaking arcade cabinet and hope that it works by charging people $1 a game. You know,
There's
it's
no
like
way that Tekken 7, made arcades do better, right? Like I don't think T7
no.
was like making arcades like flourish or anything. So yeah, I don't see that happening again. But I
Yeah,
don't even.
it's
What do you want? You want a new season or a new title like for the next announcement?
I want both. I think I'm fine either way, honestly, because it's like I kind of don't want them to rush Tekken 8 release, like drop it right now. It just doesn't seem like a good plan, right?
Maybe once everything's back to normal, right? Whatever
Yeah,
that
yeah.
means. But
It's like, dude, like we're all kind of like in this weird like stasis, like we don't know what the
yeah,
hell's going on yet. Like,
yeah,
what's the next variant? We don't know.
yeah.
Check
Mm.
out this Tekken 8 variant though.
Yeah,
Like we got
the Tekken 8
to,
variant.
like, bro.
Yeah, yeah. I would definitely say like it'd probably be a smart idea to just wait on that. But
Mhm. And then
do
maybe
you,
they could even do like honestly, I think Guilty Gear did a pretty good job, even though they were a little pretty fucking dumb with the lobby system still. Like the
yeah.
way that they did the beta test, like a year before, like three of them, people tested it out and they had feedback. Like I think Tekken can do the same kind of thing. Like why not?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, if they're so because Tekken has always been arcade test first for like a couple years and then bring it out on console. And that's
yeah,
kind of one thing I didn't like about 7 by the time we got it. It's just like, oh, they already figured everything out in Japan and Korea. It's just do what they're doing. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. It's
yeah,
just like it kind of killed the discovery period for Tekken 7 for me. But overall, the game, the success, like how much it grown the scene, and
yeah,
like I actually enjoy 7 as well too. So it's just like there's a lot of things I like about it. Throws I don't like. some characters getting OP, some characters not. Whatever, it's just like
we mentioned it on one of the previous episodes that all that stuff, maybe making like dumbing the game down, made it more accessible, and it made it easier for a new player to actually be able to play the game and not get fucked up by these things. Because if someone like had to deal with the old throw system mechanics, I don't think they would stick around for long if they just get thrown to death. Like that's not really a thing anymore. You can just mash like crazy and then you're good to go.
It's kind of weird, right? Because I was thinking about it, like if they took another look at the throw system again, like they still have to consider characters like King and like characters like. So it's just like, how do they do that? It's just like it's a tough one. I would hate to be the guy trying to balance all this shit too.
Yeah,
But
I know
then
they have a team that
also
does all that shit. Like and then they got people, they hire people for that shit.
Yeah.
But
Shout out to Mission Star.
yeah, Mission must start.
But also too, like I don't know, man. Like after season 2, some of the patches have been kind of weird. Like, why the fuck is Julia's while standing 4 -15 to -12 with the same pushback? Like, what? Like,
Have you felt about the fact that like moves their frame data gets adjusted every season?
It's annoying.
I think it sucks. As someone who's new to Tekken 7, it's the worst thing I've ever experienced in my entire life.
Honestly, fix the hitbox issues. Fuck the like why are you changing like frame data that barely makes any sense? Like that one doesn't make any sense to me. Like Julia's while standing 4 going from -15 with that pushback. Like it was hardly punishable for some characters, and it's just like, oh, Steve gets a Sonic Fang, but now I can't get anything.
They changed Leo's while standing 4 into 1+2. I think it's like a shoulder follow up. You used to be able to interrupt it with jabs. When I learned how to finally do that, they got rid of that. Now you can't. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, there's an easy solution. You just jab in between, and like
Large down forward 2-1, go from mid high to mid. Like.
Yeah, like those
a lot of
changes
these don't make
the same, but it's like now it's mid, and you're ducking. Like that's your fault for learning the game, correctly the first time. Like I don't know what the fuck that they're doing, but
those are
I don't
pretty
know.
annoying. Yeah, there have been some questionable decisions. I like why the fuck did the Health Suite track? Why why is all this stuff happening? Ever since after season 2, stuff like that.
Yeah, they had like homing houses for like a couple weeks, and everyone just went on.
That's why.
On Twitter.
That's why I'm worried about Tekken 8 coming out too soon. Just put that shit in the oven for a little bit longer. Like, what are we gonna have next, right? Like, are they gonna keep screw after low parry? Are we gonna have double screw, or are we gonna have freaking
No, I hope low parry isn't as rewarding as it is now.
Yeah, not to get too much into that stuff, but so I guess are there any fighting games that you're playing right now other than Tekken?
The 3 main games I'm playing right now is Tekken, Guilty Gear Strive, and Dragon Ball. But Dragon Ball I haven't played that much of the new patch, just like a couple times. But yeah, Guilty Gear and Tekken mostly.
Who are you maining in Guilty Gear?
Nagoriyuki.
Oh, okay. How do you like Guilty Gear as a Tekken fan? How do you frame it as a Tekken fan?
It's pretty explosive, but then also, I think Tekken has desensitized me to a bunch of shit, People are just like, oh my god, this game does so much damage, you just explode. I'm like, have you exploded in Tekken though? Have you? Like, you explode so fast in Tekken too,
Right now, everything is like 60%.
It's Tekken's 2 interactions per game, no burst. Yeah.
Dude, like Geese hits you with a whiff punish standing 2 with like a meter. GG's.
Yeah. You're at the wall, dude. So good luck. 40% health.
Okay.
Jesus.
So before we send you home, one thing we have to ask as a San Diego Tekken podcast, is there any San Diego memories that you have as going down to San Diego? And that's the last question we have.
Oh, I love San Diego, man. I go down to San Diego all the time. Just like it's a beautiful city. It used to be so much cooler back in T5 days. But then big shout outs to Cody.
Do you remember
too?
Oh hell yeah, Cody, Fast Hands Cody.
Yeah, for sure. Like TTF holding it down, Tank Top Fridays with the boy. That's
our dad. That's our dad.
Yeah, I've been there like a couple times back in the day too. I've been there for Tekken 6. Yeah, I think Tekken 6 when it first came out on console, and I think Tekken 5 days too. Yeah, I haven't been there in a minute. Or maybe it was after.
That's awesome.
Maybe once in Tag 2, I forget.
You used to mention you guys used to always come down like for those games before.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Awesome. Okay. I mean, I guess we don't. I mean, we don't want to. I feel like we've already robbed you of 2 hours.
No, it's all good. It's fun.
We can't keep going, but dude, MYK, you're the best.
Yeah, man, no problem.
Best,
It's always fun to talk
conversation I ever
about
had.
Yeah, dude. Thanks
Yeah.
for supporting the podcast, dude.
And always, guys, one tip I could give anybody that's listening is just like go back on Tekken lore, dude. Like, just like whatever region you're in, or like some videos that you guys could share together. Like it could be like Tekken 4 combo videos or some shit, or like a tournament video or some shit. That shit's always so good. There's so much good shit back then, you know. It's just like there's so much stuff, man.
Yeah, Richard does a good job at streaming that. He does a lot of those where he just goes back and watches old matches and stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then like Ricky goes from like a lot of NA and like Japan and Korea stuff, but like maybe there's like rich history everywhere to like even EU and stuff. Like I've been finding more about their players and stuff and the history and like going over there and playing those guys too. It's just like, you know what's crazy? Like sometimes you might not even speak the same language with the guy that you're playing against, but man, you guys could all speak Tekken to each other. That's the craziest part.
Okay, well, I know this. If you could suggest us another guest that we will beg to come on our show, like we begged you, who would you suggest that we beg to come on the show? I want to beg Spirojin. That's the one guy. But before you mention him,
cool. Yeah, Spiro's mad cool.
I want to ask Spirojin to come on, but who would you suggest that we bring on in the future? We won't include this part of the podcast.
Damn. That's a hard one. Maybe like Sukin, Rib, NYC Fab, even.
Oh, okay, NYC, that's a good one. Okay.
Or like even Reno or Bloodhawk would be cool too. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you so much, MYK, for coming on the podcast, dude.
Yeah,
we're on for way too long. The best. We owe you. We definitely owe you big time.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks for having me
so much.
Opens, dude, I'll give you a big thank you, man.
Yeah,
for sure, man.
Big kiss on the lips. All right, thank you so much,
man. The big homie smooch.
First got it when he was 6, didn't know any tricks. Matter of fact, first time he got on it, he slipped, landed on his hip and busted his lip. For a week he had to talk with a list like this. Now we can end the story right here, but shorty didn't quit, it was something in the air. Yeah, he said it was something so appealing, he couldn't fight the feeling, something about it. He knew he couldn't doubt it, couldn't understand it, branded. Since the first kick flip he landed, labeled a misfit, a bandit, cocoon, cocoon, cocoon. His neighbors couldn't stand it, so he was banished to the park. Started in the morning, wouldn't stop after dark. Yeah, when they said it's getting late in here, so I'm sorry, young man, there's no skating here. And so we kick, push, kick, push, kick, push, kick, push, coast. And the way he rolled, just a rebel to the world with no place to go. And so we kick, push, kick, push, kick, push, kick, push, coast. So come and skate with me, just a rebel looking for a place to be. So let's kick, and push, and coast. My man got a little older, became a better roller. Yeah, no helmet, hell bent on killing himself, is what his mama said. But he was feeling himself, got a little more swagger in his style. Met his girlfriend, she was clapping in the crowd. Love is what was happening to him now. He said I would marry you, but I'm engaged to these aerials and varials, and I don't think this board is strong enough to carry two. She said bow, I weigh 120 pounds. Now, let me make one thing clear, I don't need to ride yours, I got mine right here. So she took him to a spot he didn't know about, some modern apartment parking lot. She said, I don't normally take dates in here. Security came and said, I'm sorry, there's no skating here. And so they kick, push, kick, push, kick, push, kick, push, coast. And the way they roll, just lovers intertwined with no place to go. And so they kick, push, kick, push, kick, push, kick, push, coast. So come and skate with me, just a rebel looking for a place to be. So let's kick, and push.